Chapter 16. Sarabi. Sarabi slowly paced the length of the landing that jutted out from their sleeping quarters. This walk usually summoned feelings of joy, as memories of the many times she and Mufasa had stood at the very tip of the landing, looking out over the land he ruled, would often play in her mind. But there was no joy today, only an agonizing worry that escalated with every moment that passed without word from Nala and Abena. The lionesses had come up here to rest after a long day of searching for the cubs, but Sarabi knew rest was not in her future. There were too many hazards out there. It wasn't safe even for a grown lioness to travel those lands. To know that those two young cubs were possibly out there on their own sickened her. And that was the more positive of the two scenarios. Sarabi did not want to contemplate the other thing that may have happened to the girls. Scar had assured her that the hyenas had nothing to do with their disappearance. Sarabi could do nothing but take him, and therefore the hyenas, at his word. It was a difficult task. Scar had never given her reason to distrust him in the past, but ever since he took over as the leader of their pride, Sarabi had seen a side of him that he'd previously hidden from all of them. She found herself questioning every decision he made. It was as if he intentionally made choices that went against all that Mufasa stood for, starting with welcoming the hyenas into their kingdom. Her head told her that Scar would not knowingly stand with the hyenas if he believed they had brought harm to two cubs of his own pride, but her gut cautioned her to keep a wary eye on her brother-in-law. Sarabi agitatedly swished her tail along the landing. Her misgivings about Scar should be a little concerned right now. All that mattered was getting to the bottom of what had become of Nala and Abena. She glanced over at Foyola and Serafina, and her heart twisted in empathizing pain. The two lionesses lay with their forelegs entwined, one's head resting against the other's. Foyola's oldest, Ola, lay tucked under her mother's paw. Sadness hung in the air over all of Pride Rock, but it seemed to emanate from the two lionesses and cub in the corner. Sarabi? She turned to find Thandi standing just behind her. What is it? Sarabi asked. We need to do something, Thandi said. I cannot just sit around. I know we should be resting, but who can rest knowing Nala and Abena are out there? Anything could be happening to them. You have to let us continue our search. We'll rest better once we know the cubs are safe. Sarabi turned and looked at the others. They all seemed anxious to get going. She knew they wanted to be out there searching the savannah, but she also knew if they did not rest and recuperate, their bodies would give out on them. They wouldn't be of help to Abena, Nala, or anyone else if that were to happen. Her lionesses would not go unless she gave them permission. It was a call she hated to make. She asked herself, what would Mufasa do? But if she was hoping for a quick answer, she was in for a rude awakening. She would have to make this decision on her own. Did you question the other cubs? Sarabi asked. Did they not see anything? Thandi shook her head. Are they sure Nala did not mention leaving last night? Sarabi asked. Nala did not share anything with any of the cubs, she said. They said they do not really talk to Nala because... She glanced towards Serafina and whispered, It's because she keeps her so sheltered. They said it isn't fun to play with Nala because Serafina is always hovering. And that was the source of their problem. Sarabi was sure of it. Since returning to Pride Rock to rest and discuss their next steps, the lionesses had come to the conclusion that if the hyenas did not snatch the cubs, they must have left of their own volition, and it was more likely that Nala was the one who left, with Abena following. Unless Nala had witnessed Abena taking off and had gone in search of her, but Foyola was adamant that Abena would never do such a thing. She had no reason to want to run. Nala, on the other paw, did. Sarabi knew how frustrated the cub had become with her mother's overprotectiveness. Asking Sarabi to intervene on her behalf had possibly been Nala's last straw. But she wouldn't be so careless as to leave the Pride Lands, would she? Sarabi, can we continue our search? Thandi asked. Please. Sarabi sighed. She turned and walked back to the edge of the landing, hoping for a sign from Mufasa about what to do. Just as she was about to turn back to Thandi, she caught something out of the corner of her eye. Sarabi squinted, trying to make out the figure running towards Pride Rock. At first she thought it was a fox or a meerkat, but then the cloud that had passed in front of the moon cleared and illuminated the figure. Realization dawned. "Oh my goodness," Sarabi breathed. She took off, racing down the side of Pride Rock with a vigor she had not felt in months. She heard Thandi calling her name, but did not stop to explain. She immediately heard the pounding of multiple paws behind her as the other lionesses fell in line. Sarabi covered the distance between herself and the cub in record time. But before she could reach Abena, Viola flew past her. The mother lioness scooped her cub into her forelegs and went tumbling forwards. Excited gasps rang out as the other lionesses who had followed came upon them. Sarabi took a step back and ordered the others to do the same. Viola deserved this time with her daughter. She surveyed the land, searching for Nala. Surely the other cub could not be far behind. Serafina charged into the clearing, screaming her daughter's name. Excitement and panic made her voice sound shrill. "Nala! Where's Nala? Nala! Come here at once!" Serafina screamed. "Where is she? Nala!" That was Sarabi's question. It appeared Abena had returned alone. Dread churned in the pit of Sarabi's stomach. Something was wrong. The girls had to have left Pride Rock together. There was no way both had decided to leave on the same night, but had done so separately. So why was Abena the only one to return? "Where's Nala?" Serafina screeched. She ran up to Abena and Viola and screamed in the younger cub's face. "Where is my girl?" Sarabi looked to Kido and Sefu. They understood her command without her having to voice it. But when the lionesses tried to pull her away, Serafina wrenched out of their grasp. "No! She needs to tell me where Nala is," she cried. Sarabi motioned for Thandi to help Kido and Sefu. Together they gathered a wailing Serafina and moved several meters away, far enough to prevent Serafina's hysterical cries from scaring Abena, but close enough to hear what was being said by the cub. Sarabi spoke quietly. "Viola, I will need to question her. This is important." Viola nodded. She turned Abena so that she faced Sarabi, but she did not let go. Sarabi could not fault her for wanting to hold her baby tight. "Abena, did you leave here with Nala?" Sarabi asked the cub. She looked away and nodded. "When?" Sarabi asked. "Last night," she answered. "Did the two of you plan this? Did you know you were going to leave before last night?" She shook her head. "I couldn't sleep, and I saw Nala leave the cave, so I followed her." "Where is she?" Serafina screamed. Sarabi's eyes darted to where the lionesses held her back, but then she returned her attention to Abena. "Why didn't Nala return with you? Did you two lose each other?" She nodded enthusiastically. "Yes, I followed her, but then I got lost. I never made it off the Pride Lands, but then—" She stopped. "Wait," Abena said, her forehead scrunching. "That's wrong. We decided to tell the truth." Sarabi's pulse quickened. "What is the truth?" she asked. "Where is Nala?" "I don't know," Abena said. I got scared because of the storm." She shook her head. "No, I didn't get scared. Yes, I did get scared. That's the truth. But I can't remember," she said. She buried her face against her mother's neck. It was obvious Nala and the younger cub had cobbled together some time for the girl to report back to them. "It is very important you tell me the truth, Abena," Sarabi said. "The real truth. Nala is in grave danger." "No, she just wanted to go on an adventure. She told me to tell her mama that she is safe. She was tired of being treated like a baby. And me too," Abena said. "That's why I went with her. But I really did get scared when the storm came. And the elephants too. There were so many of them. They made the ground rumble. My goodness, a stampede. They have faced a stampede." "Nala just wanted to go on an adventure," Abena said. She called up to where the lionesses held Serafina. "She was mad because you wouldn't let her hunt. But she's not mad anymore because I taught her how to hunt. She's okay. Sarabi cautioned a glance at her friend. She saw the devastation in Serafina's eyes, and for the first time, it seemed as if she was finally recognizing the part of her actions of the last 6 months had played in this. She had smothered Nala, so the cub had chosen to break free. "Where is Nala?" Sarabi asked Abena. She shook her head. "I can't tell you." "Abena!" Sarabi, Foyola, and several of the other lionesses yelled simultaneously. The cub gasped and buried her face against her mother, but Foyola would not allow her to stay hidden. The time for coddling was over. "Where did Nala go?" Foyola asked her daughter. "Tell us now, Abena. This is not the time to play around." "Nala will be so mad at me," she said. "That does not matter. We need to make sure Nala is safe. We must find her and bring her back to Pride Rock before something horrible happens to her. Now tell us where she was headed." The cub bowed her head and muttered something unintelligible. "What was that?" Sarabi asked. Abena looked up at her and said in a stronger voice, "Caramba." "Caramba?" Serafina asked. "What does she know of Caramba?" Thandi added. But Sarabi knew. "She is going after Simba." She closed her eyes and released a deep breath. She must have overheard when the mongoose reported the sighting there. "Which way did you travel?" Sarabi asked Abena. She looked towards the Shadowlands. "Were there skeletons there? And water that shot up from the ground?" "The elephant graveyard," Abena said. She lifted her chin, an air of cockiness in her voice. "I wasn't afraid of that part, even in the dark. Although by the time we made it to the other side of it, the sun had come up." So they'd made it through the Shadowlands. Sarabi tried to calculate how far Nala would have traveled in the time it took Abena to make a return trip to Pride Rock. She was likely halfway to Caramba by now. Their problem lay in the vastness of the savannah. There were multiple routes to Caramba, and it would be difficult to know which Nala took, unless... "Abena, do you remember a gorge?" Sarabi asked. The cub frowned. "No." "What about a mountain?" Sarabi asked. "It would have been very tall, with a smaller one right next to it." "Yes," she nodded. "I remember seeing it while we were in the tree, waiting for the elephants to run past us. It was still far away, though." "That's okay," Sarabi said. "This is good," and narrowed their search. If they had gone the way of the mountain and not the gorge, it meant Nala was traveling northwest, through the paths most of the migrating animals took. It was a shorter route to Caramba, but also more dangerous for a cub to travel alone. "The skeletons in the mountains are all you remember?" Sarabi asked. The more information the cub could provide, the better their chances of tracking Nala down. "Yeah, that's it," Abena said. "I wasn't scared of the skeletons, but I'm glad we didn't have to go through the elephant graveyard on our way back." Sarabi stood erect. "Our way back?" "So, Nala followed you back to Pride Rock?" Sarabi asked. The cub's eyes widened as if she knew she'd just said something she wasn't supposed to share. "Tell me, Abena," Sarabi ordered. If Nala had accompanied her, there was still a chance they could catch her before she got too far. "Did Nala bring you back to Pride Rock?" Abena nodded. "She brought me to the edge of the grasslands and said she would stay until I reached the waterhole." That was all Sarabi needed to hear. "Lionesses, assemble!" she called. In an instant, they were all huddled around her. There is a chance that Nala is still close by. She followed Abena as far as the perimeter of the grasslands and remained there until Abena reached the waterhole. She could not have got far. "We will fan out and search for her. Get into pairs." "I will go with Thandi," Serafina said. "No," Sarabi told her. It hurt her to say the word, but certainly not as much as it hurt Serafina to hear it. Sarabi knew this would only deepen the rift between them, but the lioness was too excitable to join the search. It was just as it had been when they'd first discovered the cubs were missing, and Foyola had demanded to go looking for Abena. "You will be more of a hindrance than a help," Sarabi said. "You cannot stop me from searching," Serafina cried. "I have made my decision," Sarabi said. "You will not go." She almost flinched at the spark of hatred that flashed in her best friend's eyes. That hate was directed solely at Sarabi, and it made her heart shatter, the jagged pieces stabbing her with every breath. No one is going. Sarabi whipped around at the pronouncement. Scar,